everybody. It's Lee, and I'm here with Laurie from Laguna Studios. And I keep wanting to say Laurie from Laguna Press for some reason, because I think of you like having printing presses, but that's not actually what you do. We met because Russell Nohelty developed a book of mine into a comic and then was like, we're definitely gonna be working with Laurie. And I was like, great, I'm in. What does she do? But you guys have a warehouse. You do fulfillment. I'm also currently using you as an art manager because I just use you as a point of contact to find artists. So,
Uh-huh.
uh, side business there. And in this day and age, we're all like trying to find artists, trying to book with artists. And I think like the same five artists are being passed around in some of the, you know, romance novel circles, and they're all booked out. But you have access to so many comic artists because you started with comics.
Right. So we're a comic book publishing company and fulfillment. Those are two completely separate things. We do it all. And yeah, I have, because of how many comics we published and how many artists we've worked with, like I have such a roster, and it's been really fun kind of working with you because you're like, oh, this is what I want. I'm like, oh, I know like 50 people who could do that. Okay, let's narrow it. And you're like, oh, really? Like it's
And I'm like, okay, we booked like three of them. Do they do not safe for work? Like, it's getting dangerous in my pocketbook, but it's really fun. Because a lot of the work, this is kind of new for me, is, sourcing artists, finding books with sprayed edges and just working through these projects in a different way. Because I'm used to just throwing my book up on Amazon and selling it as an ebook. And
right.
I was pointing out what had me wrap my brain around this is we're entering the collectibles market. So books as this beautiful commodity on your shelf for people who haven't necessarily read or fallen in love with your characters. So I'm used to selling my book based on the story. This is based on the pretty, and it just seems to be a game change. But you do fulfillment for Kickstarter because I
Yes.
started with Kickstarter. I'm working with Influence to do that, and they were like, "Oh, there's a great fulfillment company you should look up. It's Laguna Studios." And I'm like, "Yes!" Once
You're
again,
like, wait, I already know them.
all roads lead to Lori. Um, but you just mentioned you also do Shopify and TikTok shop fulfillment.
Yeah,
With
anything, and right, any shop, any campaign, anything like that, right? Because we have a lot of authors and creators also like in the US, but also in Canada and the UK, and like that shit's a nightmare to ship, and like yeah, I'd rather take care of it.
Well, this is good to know because everyone I talk to is setting up either looking at doing something fancy, omnibus, sprayed edges, foil, pretty hardback product through Kickstarter, or they're setting up a Shopify shop. And there are print on demand ways to do that, but a cheaper option is to print in bulk from China,
Right.
especially if you're getting a lot of fancy stuff going on it. and and then work with a fulfillment company. I just think that a lot of authors are doing their own fulfillment. And for some of my friends, they're like, no, 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 we need a fulfillment company. And I just didn't know that you guys
Yeah.
offer that.
Yeah, one of the number one complaints I've seen from authors is like, hey, I want to make special editions, but I don't, like there's so much time put into shipping. Like if the orders you get in a month and then you can't write, so give it to me, I'll do it. We'll store it, we'll ship it. And like we've been shipping for a really long time, and we started with comic books, so like we know how to ship things so they get to you pristine, because comic book fans are crazy. They want to grade their comic books so it needs to be mint condition, like corners can't have a dent on them, like, and so we know how to ship it. We're not throwing it in a bag and kicking it across the room like Amazon
I
does.
know, I know. I just got these from Book Vault, and I actually am really happy with Book Vault. But yeah, there's a cracked corner on the brand new book, which is a bummer because I was going to get photos done.
Hmm.
Like, oh, also it was a month wait,
Oh,
which
that's rough.
if you're
Okay.
doing Kickstarter like Okay. We were originally going to talk about Kickstarter. I would like your top tips on Kickstarter, but you just said something that really helped me, and it's a fancy pre-order.
Right.
That helped me because I'm used to pre-orders.
Right. It's exactly that's what it is. That's how I looked at it for comic books too. It's like it's a pre-order. It's just not on your own website. It's on Kickstarter instead. And then you're pulling people from Kickstarter. You're getting your own fans on K. It's just instead of on my website, I'm doing it on Kickstarter. The book's already made. In your case, I have one here because we're going to be fulfilling it.
Can't believe it, guys. This black velvet foiled edge or foiled with sprayed edges omnibus, the dark romance that Stacia Black and I wrote years ago. And it's my first Kickstarter. And I was like, we'll get the black velvet. And now I'm like, I hope people buy it. I hope that someone will back my project. But
Yeah,
anyway.
like I want to buy it. Like I'm already like, ooh, okay, no, I want this. Like
Okay. Yeah.
so but yeah, just hey, I'm doing this thing. It's a pre-order for it's already made. It's beautiful. Like why wouldn't yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I would look at it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So your top tips for Kickstarter. So you're doing the fulfillment for the Kickstarter. You've been a great help. I actually just gave you 50 plus names of influencer copies to send out of that exact book that you just held up. And you've run many Kickstarters, which I know because I've followed you and backed you. What are your top tips for doing Kickstarter and not losing your shirt?
Oh wow. Let me try to like think of a way to kind of condense that into a couple of things. I think the most important tip I give because I see this mistake a lot is like in your campaign when you're describing your book, like describe it. A lot of creators describe like they're like I already know the book, so they describe it like they already know it, and
Mm,
then people come in and they're like I've never seen it. Like describe it like describe your product and show like they've never seen it before, they've never read any of your books because your fans are your pre-existing fans are going to come in, they're going to buy it, they don't care. But getting those new fans in from Kickstarter, that's really important. um, Having a really good thumbnail because that's the first thing that everybody sees, that Kickstarter image, um, with either like a really nice picture of the product or really pretty art that's in the book to suck people in right away as soon as possible. Oh man, there's so much. I'm trying to think. Um,
quick question. Okay, I'm new to the Kickstarter ecosystem. Would you say there is a good amount of just visibility coming from Kickstarter itself? Like people who are just on Kickstarter looking at cool projects and then they just might back me because it looks cool?
yes, yeah, 100%. I would say something like 60 to 70%, because we run, I want to say 35 campaigns, and I want to say 60 to 70% of the backers are new. So they're
What?
coming from Kickstarter. Yeah, yeah, which you would not expect. And we have our email list, we have our pre-existing fans, but Kickstarter brings in a whole fan base. So the trick is kind of to get a good start with your pre-existing fans, offer them something tempting in the first, you could do an early bird or whatever, something to get them in right away, and then that'll kind of bump you up in the Kickstarter algorithm so you're more visible on the Kickstarter page.
Right?
And then all of those Kickstarter, oh, what's that? That's a new thing. I've never seen it. I want it. And then you get the
Cool.
whole Kickstarter crowd coming in.
It makes me
Yeah.
feel a lot better because I've been emailing my well-built list to get them to follow the project. And I've noticed that the list I built from readers on Amazon, like I don't necessarily send them to my store. I did once or twice, but it didn't give me a huge bump. I needed to find separate people for who would shop on my store. And I feel like, I already know that on Amazon, like I got so many of my fans from Amazon, and Amazon has its own visibility engine. We're all trying to make it work for us.
Right.
And even if it works a little bit, it can be life-changing and give you a full-time career. And I've hacked that by basically offering a similar product over and over and over again, like a book in a series. And I'm
Hmm.
just afraid that this is my first Kickstarter and I'm not necessarily going to do 35 Kickstarters in a row. I might do, I mean, we're planning our comic Kickstarter, but I might do three in a row. And I was like, well, if I'm building, then I know like the first one, maybe we only get like 30,000, you know, dollars backed. But by the third, I could build on that and build on it and build on it. Um,
Yeah.
so just having this out is kind of scary, but if I can expect some lift from Kickstarter, like I just didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh no, 100%. Yeah, it's at least in my experience with novels, with comics and books, you get a significant bump on Kickstarter, especially in the first couple days and the last couple days. And if you get Project We Love, if you hit the right algorithms and your project is popular, then you'll get sorted into the most popular stuff, and then people will just go in there and get excited about it, which is why your thumbnail needs to be like, that's the most important thing, because people are scrolling through Kickstarter. You want an image that's like, oh, I want to click on that. Like that's where you'll get all your Kickstarter people. And to add to that, like once you hit your goal, you start focusing on stretch goals. What I like to do is have a little text on there, say something that says like next stretch goal at, so that people who may not have clicked before are like, ooh, okay, so I can get more stuff. I'm
Hmm.
gonna go click that. So just all the ways to make that one image like the sexiest, best image you can, so
I
people
love
click
it.
on it.
Yeah, and that's good. The stretch goal thing is Kickstarter language. But if they're on the Kickstarter ecosystem, they're used to it, then they would, I'm having to explain this to the sweet grandmas who have bought my books since 2015, okay?
Right, right.
It's a Kickstarter. You'll get some emails. You won't get the book right away. I don't even know how it works. Like I've only backed a few Kickstarters and then I honestly kind of forget about what I've backed. And then it just
Right,
comes in the
right. I
account.
mean, in a lot of cases, you're backing something that isn't made yet. In your case, the book's already there. It exists, like it's ready to go. So, like, I would market it as a pre-order, and like I would tell your fans that too. And for stretch goals, like for me, for people like who are new to Kickstarter, I say, if we make more money, you get more free shit. That's
Yeah, that
that's
that is another thing. I had a friend, Golden Angel, do a Kickstarter and she broke it down as girl math. She's like,
okay.
you've
Yeah.
heard of girl math. Let me tell you about Kickstarter girl math, which is basically we're able to buy more cool things. We're able to get more art. We're able to buy in bulk and give you more things at these stretch goals if we make more money. So,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
More like in my case, I like to do a metal bookmark because our fans love that. Stickers, upgrades to the book, or like any, yeah. And then people just get excited. They get on. It's like it goes from like it's a pre-order, but now it becomes an event because
comes an
you're
event.
making more money and they're getting more stuff, and it's really exciting. And
I think what really put Kickstarter on the map in my mind and for many was the Sanderson blockbuster blow the doors off Kickstarter because he was offering books and they were not being offered anywhere else. He already had a massive platform and all his lovely nerdy readers like me, were more inclined to know about Kickstarter and to be familiar with Kickstarter and Indiegogo or backing nerdy little board game projects and stuff like that. Okay. Um, but yeah, I just didn't realize it was for books until his. And what was special about it, and I could feel it because I think I might have backed it. I don't know. I don't even remember. I thought really hard about it and I was like, wow, about to click for $500 to buy books that I don't know. Like I'm not a huge fan of Sanderson. I
but
prefer
they
like
look really cool.
but it was the event. It was getting caught up in
Yeah.
it was like a rave. Or no, my husband and I went after the quarantine. We went to a Glass Animals concert, and we are not concert people, but we were like, yeah. And then we bought a t-shirt, and I was like, we are so into buying. I don't even buy t-shirts. I get them free from like doing a 10K. And we're buying this because we want to bookmark the feeling, the excitement, and the fact that we're here at this event. And that's
Yeah.
what's special about it. So getting that event celebratory feeling, that rush of excitement. I think people try to manufacture that with their book launch, like it's new, and people who are very skilled at doing that do really well with their launches. That is not a strength of mine. So I think that I've just been like, oh, it's a new language to speak. I have to be excited, and I'm just scared right now.
Yeah, you just everything you write has to have exclamation marks on it. Let's go.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, we'll see. I think the state of the world events is actually affecting my mood this much, but
That's
I'll
very
be excited
reasonable.
about my hardback for sure. So any other tips you sent me a whole list of questions. I'm not even looking at them, but is there anything you wanted to highlight to just advise people?
Yeah, I guess I can talk a bit about fulfillment because like I have seen some Kickstarters recently because I go through and I don't know what they're doing, but their shipping costs are insane. They're insane to the point of where I feel that the backers in other countries won't even touch it because it's nuts. And like we're here to fix that. Like if you're in the UK, I see like these huge board game campaigns or novel campaigns, and they're charging $30 to ship a single book, and it's like in the states that would be $8 or six
Okay.
bucks. Like we can save on that. And then in terms of just if you're fulfilling your own campaign, it's really important to kind of pack stuff like it's going to get run over by a car. And it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. The post office is not careful. And when you have, I'm going to just use this as an example again because it's right here and it's really pretty. Something like this needs to be protected because otherwise it's going to get dented, it's going to get broken. So like if you're running a Kickstarter for your books and you're fulfilling it yourself, like look into, make sure you get boxes that are thicker, make sure you get bubble wrap. Like do not do just don't throw shit in a box with paper, don't throw shit in a box with nothing, don't put it in a bag ever. Like just basic stuff like that.
Mm.
Or hire a fulfillment company, but yeah,
Hire a
be
fulfillment
be
company.
really careful.
Yeah, because you were like, give me the addresses as soon as you have them for the influencer copies, because we were trying to get them out now, basically. You got we got these books on a faster boat just so that it could be pre-campaign. And you were like, I need this because I need to figure out shipping and packaging. And the other thing about Kickstarter is if you're doing a campaign with a lot of different fancy things, you were mentioning to me because we were talking about the one you're going to basically run for me, which is the comic book one. And you were like, we can put designs on anything, but I don't recommend. There were a couple of products you didn't recommend. So for people who are doing their own or using fulfillment, what are the things that people want that are also easy to pack and like you can assembly line a little bit better and fit it all in a box?
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. So everybody gets excited about their own merch. I get it. Mugs, shipping a mug with a book, it's hard. It's hard to do. I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend flat stuff that fits with a book typically, unless you're doing, like a fancy collector's box, in which case, you can do a book and a candle and like, something sexy like that. But for the most part, stickers, bookmarks, vellums. Vellums are really big. Just art prints. And then if you want to, if you want to step it up a notch, wearable merch is still pretty easy to ship with a book as opposed to a mug. Like you can put a shirt or something like that. Scrunchies are really easy to ship.
Scrunchies. We're doing scrunchies. We'll have
There you
scrunchies
go.
that match that velvet book, the sprayed edges. Because I wanted scrunchies. We're doing journal. I think several bookmarks, like I think we're doing black velvet bookmarks to match. And a journal and a coloring book. Again, all flat things, no candle, nothing edible, and nothing wearable that we would have to size. But we're looking at like a stretch goal of a makeup bag or a book bag.
Yes. Yeah. See, that's smarter. I feel like you don't have to worry about, doing your survey, asking for sizes. And then when you have sizes, and as someone who's done multiple merch campaigns now, you can put as many size charts as you want on there. People will buy the wrong size, and then you you either say, "Hey, I can't exchange it. I said no exchanges," or then you have to deal with exchanges and returns. And like, if it's your first Kickstarter, if it's your first couple of Kickstarters, I would not want to deal with that. That's a nightmare.
Yeah, and as far as stuff that people want with books, I've heard that a metal bookmark, like people go crazy over it. So keep it simple. Do the metal bookmark, do the custom stickers, do a foiled or a shiny, pretty decorated trope card. I hear that those are really popular because if
Hmm.
they're influencers, they'll hold it up on TikTok. And then vellum, like the art that's basically they can put in the book, slide right in over the text. And I hear the not safe for work vellums and romance are the creme de la creme.
Oh,
So
there you go. Okay.
yeah, but I was like, candle, mug, and you're like, if it's a big box and we're selling a $300 box with some sizing, I get, you can put
Right.
like the mug in a box in there, but other than that, yeah.
Right, because then you're dealing with packing it together, and then you have to, then you're sourcing 3 or 4 different sizes of boxes just to ship things out to backers, which is a nightmare. Yeah.
One more thing, and then you can talk about whatever you want, but I just going to throw this out because I see this being the new wave, and I'm really excited about it, and I'm hoping we're going to catch it. Is novels, particularly romance, made into comics. I think you're perfectly positioned for this, and I want to hear more people talking about it. I have talked to two authors, Lilith St. Vincente or Vincent or Vincente, and then Willow Winters about comics, and then Amelia Rose, who runs Ream and is working on doing comics on that platform. It's like a webtoon sort of platform, or it's like a Patreon, but it's run by authors for authors. And she's doing a webtoon that she makes safe for work for webtoon. And then, um, anyway, all that to say, they're doing either a physical product comic. Here's my favorite, like this, or a webtoon, or both, because it's getting the art, getting it formatted correctly, getting it either printed or uploaded. And
Right.
you've been doing comics, you've been doing Kickstarter, you've married those, like that's how you push the comic, basically, right? Although your back issues are available on your website because I went and bought some, the surgeon. But yeah, I think this is going to be the next big thing. As someone who got into reading comics during quarantine on my phone and then was like, no, wait, there's a whole world of physical products. And we are seeing a trend towards like physical collectibles. And I think comics are just, I think it's going to explode if we get the romance market.
Yes.
I just think that it's untapped.
It is. I think it is. I think the comic we're working on is kind of going to be leading the pack in term. And I mean, now you've gotten kind of a taste of like how cool it is to see it brought to life, to
Yeah.
see the characters like that. I also want to say, I want to be so bold as to say that comics can be a bridge for like a lot of producers, a lot of film producers and TV producers are looking at comics now.
Woo! Very cool. I know. And it's like, where's the IP and what is it doing um and where? But yeah, and like how does your IP translate to this art form, basically?
Right. And I think it's been really fun working with you on this because it's a whole new thing that we're tapping into, getting romance into comics and working with, you know, artists and writers who get it, who get the gaze that we want. Because this, it's porn. It's not really porn though, it's romance. And we we
It's
want it to
both.
look a certain way. We want, like you would say, they need to have a lot of abs, they need to look pretty.
Guys need to have the abs. They need to look pretty. Yeah, this is a good Joker one where he looks a little bit more built. Like he's super buff. Anyway, I really like this one because he's so buff and she's such a badass. But
Yeah. And I feel like this way also we're going to get more women reading comics and getting into comics, because I feel like a lot of people are like, comics. Yeah, there you go.
I don't know if you can see him, but his body is like really muscular. And then this one, he's written like a kind of lean David Bowie sort of, but it's a romance. It was written like a dark romance. The
Yeah,
comic artist,
it's
and
incredible.
it is the best thing I've ever seen. Like it's so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's a new thing. I have to mention Russell Nohelty because he introduced us. He is, he's pretty much point on this because he took my book, turned it into a script, and I want to showcase him because he's going to start offering a service that I think is going to get booked up like crazy, where he'll take your book and either adapt it for a fee or, if he wants to move forward and work with Laguna to like develop the comic. I just think you're going to get really busy really fast and I'm excited. Um I want more authors because there are people like me who are like, I just love the art. I want to see the art and
Exactly. Yeah.
gonna lead the way. And then yeah, I think that like animated series are coming and for romance. Like it's your romance
Yeah.
novel and you have aliens or you have mafia, but it's you know, my first crush was Goliath from Gargoyles. So let's just go back to a time where Batman the animated series.
No, seriously though.
I think Gargoyles was like the start of my monster romance era for sure.
Uh-huh. And
Anyway,
now that's big again. Monster romance is huge right now.
it's massive. I'm nerding out. Yeah, it's like you walk into Barnes and Noble and there's a table and it's like, gang banged by the gargoyles right there, right.
Right.
Sure. Um,
I feel like Nosferatu has been trending on TikTok for a month. I feel like memes of him have been trending. Like,
yeah, there's new like horror vampires coming out. Yes. Yeah, just make them slightly more sexy. I don't know.
just right, a little, for me anyway, a little sexier. People still seem to be super into him. So,
No, it's something, yeah, Taming the Beast. We want to bang the beast. We don't want to bang the prince. I get it. Um,
mhm.
so yeah, that was what I wanted to cover and just introduce it to my group, the Million Author Mastermind, because um I don't know why I didn't make this a podcast episode. I guess because my brain is just broken right now a little bit. And it's just full of
Same,
stuff.
it's fine.
And I'm doing my first Kickstarter and I have to market it. I'm like, past me thought that I would have a lot of energy and a lot of bandwidth for this. But I'm glad you're helping me. I'm glad you're available to help more people. I think fulfillment isn't anything new. So the more authors know that there are options and resources, and you're such a great resource for like connecting to artists. And Russell's a great resource for everyone, but he also knows a lot of artists. He has like a favorites list that I keep posting when I see people say, "Who should I work with?" But I'm excited to see the trends coming towards comic, webtoons, all this physical merch and products and stuff, and just taking our IP. I think indies were like, "Yay, I can throw up a book on Amazon as ebook form, sell a bunch of ebooks for 99 cents." And we're still in the very beginning of our entire industry. But now we're learning, oh, there are these things that people have been doing for years. And as an indie now with some success under my belt, I can tap into exercising my rights, exploiting my
Exactly.
rights, exploiting my IP into merch, into physical products, into many different platforms like Kickstarter, like Patreon, like Webtoon. And it's very exciting, but I'm glad. Also, my group is called Million Author Mindset because I really want us to understand that we are running a business and we can start to think of like building a team and investing in resources. And we don't have
Right.
to go get a warehouse. We can hire the people like you who have the warehouse. So,
Right. The idea is like I take that off your plate so you can do more with your IP. And then with stuff like comics, like we adapt your book into a comic and then you have all this art now. And then that art, like I said, producers are looking, it's way easier for a producer to look at a comic than it is for them to read a book. Like, oh, this character looks badass. I want to make a Netflix series of this. This is becoming way more trend. And then if you're working on making an audio version of your book, you can now make kind of an audio play where you have the audio and then the comic panels that are like that's big on YouTube.
wait, what? That is like an animated series. I didn't know about this. Can you send me?
Right. It's basically the step right before an animated because you already have all the comic panels. It's already there. So why not kind of, animate them into a thing and have like a sexy voice over top?
Oh my gosh, you just
You
blew
can do
my
so much
mind.
stuff with this.
Okay. And again,
Hmm.
some of this, I think, New Frontier stuff, I'm doing it not because I'm like, I'm doing the comic not because I wanted the comic. I want my books into a comic. Like Russell told me early on, he's like, we don't make money from comics. I was like, I think romance authors will make a lot of money from comics. But first, we do this because we love it and it's exciting. That sounds really exciting. I already have the audiobook, but I could also redo. I was thinking of redoing some of my audio into like a cast.
Hmm.
Like I have a friend who knows a bunch of audio producers. She's been posting in the group too, Kit, and she'll do like special scripts and stuff like to help you post on TikTok. But um yeah, she could totally produce something like you just mentioned. So please send me some oh my God, I'm getting an animated series now.
You're right. Like,
Happening. Oh, we will have to gray out the not safe for work parts. That's the only issue is my books have so many spicy scenes. Um, and I'm noticing there's just, it's artistically draped like couples in a clinch. So,
right.
okay, back to the
We
drawing board.
have to work with that. But yeah,
Back
like
to the
stuff
drawing
like
board on
that.
that one. Yeah, if I can't post it on Webtoon, then it's PG-13, then maybe not. But Ream will allow me to post it, so that's good. But okay, any final thoughts? I think I covered Kickstarter, your fulfillment services, and comics, collectibles, and obviously this was not structured in any way, but I
I feel like we still had a pretty good structure.
think it was good. And I wanted to introduce people to you because you are a great resource and you also have your gateway to many great resources. So
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Like Lee said, like we're looking at adapting books into comic books. We're here to fulfill your stuff, be it shop or Kickstarter. We can help you with Kickstarter. We can help you with, getting hooked up with artists because the comic world, as you've seen, there's so many artists, and I feel like that's untapped for romance authors. They're not aware of how many
it's
artists there
really
are.
untapped. I also think it's hilarious that I sent you a brief for a billionaire romance and it was too boring for this artist. Alexis was like, no, I only do fantasy. And I'm like, that's fair because he did one for our fantasy and it was so good.
Yeah, he's at a point in his career where he can be really picky, I guess. So
So
it's
I was like, well, you could just pretend they're in a fantasy world. That's fine. But I think
just change him. It's yeah,
I
it's
think the post was too boring. Maybe we'll tap him for some not safe to work stuff if he's open. Very creative position.
yeah, there you go, exactly.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you art managing that because I'm like, I don't want to offend the artist, but you have to make him hot. You have to. He has to have abs. This is the female gaze as well. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of the time, I like to hire female artists because they get it immediately. With men, I feel like we have to explain it a little more like, no, 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 like, no, like he has to be pretty. Like he's got to be hot. He's got to be, and it's like hard for them. But some male artists get it right away.
They
It's
get it
just,
right away. They've done really great and we've been able to hire them. And I was actually thinking of Batman and thinking about how pretty he is. Like he's pretty to like a straight guy. You know what I mean? Like he's
right.
aspirational.
Right.
Like everyone thinks he's hot. He's like apex male or whatever. And that's working for him. So we just need a romance subplot. I'm telling you, the comic world will never be the same, and there will be a bunch of angry nerds who are yelling, but we need more diversity anyway in every sphere. So we need the romance in the comics.
They've
And
made so much Batman. I don't see why that can't. Right. Let's
right.
get some romance. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Some really, yes, really hot. So now I'm gonna go daydream about that, and I hope everyone got something out of this talk. I'll be emailing you 20 times a day as per usual, Lori. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And yeah, anyone who wants to post questions underneath, and I will try to monitor them and get them to Lori or
Yeah,
you're
happy to
too.
answer any questions. Happy to get back to you guys. Absolutely.
Yay. Awesome. All right. See ya.